Welcome to Half-Ass Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And first off, I want to say, make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe, by the way. All right? Look, I know I do this for fun, but when I come here and I spit facts, I mean business. But today, it's not about spitting facts. Today, it's not about anything else other than Mortal Kombat. We can finally give you guys the Mortal Kombat review. Now, before you guys say, oh, you could have given it to us earlier. Yeah, I know. I was busy. I was working. I'm getting stuff done for the podcast, by the way. Because let's be clear about one thing before we get this started and for any future reference. This is not on this channel. Once the movie's out, I'm giving a review. Now, whether I give the movie review on the night it releases, or I get a movie review like today I'm giving it to you guys on a Tuesday. It all depends. But I don't believe in spoilers. Once the movie's out, open to the world, and it's out worldwide in theaters. To me, there's no such thing as spoiler. So look, you guys click on this. That's at your will, not on mine. But that's the rule that we play here on Hap. So I just want to let you guys know that. If you don't like spoilers, if you think a movie's been out for 3 days and it's called a spoiler, I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, let's get this thing started because I do want to review Mortal Kombat with you guys. Let me tell you something, man. This movie, so before I get into the actual characters, this movie was ridiculously good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, this movie was, I know I love using the word Shakespeare. This was not Shakespeare at all. And guess what? I didn't expect it to be. This movie's plot had so many holes, but guess what? I was not expecting to have a plot with no holes in it. I was not expecting to have this strong plot of a movie. This movie did not have these great, amazing characters with all this great dialogue. But I wasn't expecting for this movie to have great characters with great dialogue. This movie did exactly what it was supposed to do. And for all those other movie pundits out there that are shitting on this movie because the story wasn't great. Oh, we didn't get this and get that. But did you get action? Did you get fatalities? Did you get, Sub-Zero and Scorpion killing each other throughout this fucking movie? Did you get that? Did you get the cool fire dragon from Liu Kang? My point exactly. I don't know how people were walking into this movie somehow expecting to have the same kind of strong plot as a movie like A Star is Born. Or a movie like, I don't know, what's a good movie? What's a movie with a really, really strong plot? Inception or something. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to come in here looking for a Christopher Nolan-esque type of movie. No one's coming, or at least you shouldn't be walking to this kind of movie. Mortal Kombat, to me, did exactly what it needed to do. Give me some hard-hitting action and make me love the sound effects and make me love what I am watching. I loved it. I felt like a kid again. I know I've been saying that a little bit lately, but look, if there's one thing the pandemic did, it made people sit down and actually look and go through their work thoroughly and give us good, thorough movies like this. Now, let me start out. I'm going to get to my grade at the end of this, so bear with me. But let's start out with Cole Young. So Cole Young is this cat who's pretty much a character that was created by the studios to not pander. I don't want to use the word pander in this situation, but to cater to the general audience. So to the people that said, hey, this movie looks cool, but I know nothing about Mortal Kombat. Well, we'll give you Cole Young and we'll give him like half a fucking storyline and we'll just let you decide whatever the fuck he is or who he is or not. For the longest time, I thought, okay, maybe he's Scorpion's son. Then it turned out he was like Scorpion is his answer. I have no idea. Maybe Scorpion is his grandfather. I have no fucking idea. But the one thing I did like about Cole Young was that it wasn't this super big prophecy for him, right? This wasn't a journey. It was a journey to find out who he is, but it wasn't a journey to find out in the end for him to find out, oh, I am a descendant of legendary Scorpion. So now I have to, grandfather, teach me everything. No. And at the end of this movie, you know what you got at that last fight scene? It was Scorpion looking at his descendant, Cole, and he literally saying, just carry on the bloodline. That's all I'm saying. It's simple. It's simple. It's something that everyone can pretty much, at least every man can pretty much relate to, where it's like, hey, you meet an ancestor. Let's say, in a dream, you meet an ancestor or something like that. And they say, hey, look, I don't care what the fuck you do. Just carry on my bloodline and do it the right way. Just do a good job. That's pretty much all he said. And I like that. It was simple. It was done. We got the point across that they are both related. He is related to Scorpion. And we're going to get to Scorpion here in a second. But Cole Young, I still don't really know what the fuck this dude's power really is. He has the gold shield fucking armor thingy. Look, we're most likely going to get a second Mortal Kombat. We're obviously going to get this guy coming back as well. Look, the only thing they needed to do with this movie is to set it up as a one and done movie. I don't like unfinished story. Now, again, I'm not too pressed on how come we didn't get this answered about Cole? How come we didn't get that answered? Blah, blah, whatever. I'm not too pressed on that because, again, this is a Mortal Kombat movie. This is a video game movie. So at the end of the day, I really don't have that high expectation when it comes to plot. But I will say this. This is probably, and again, I'm just going off the dome here, so I might be missing a video game movie that I've seen that I might be able to retract the statement later. But I will say this movie is the best video game adapted movie I've ever seen. Now, again, I'm just going off the dome, off the top of my head, of all the video game movies I've seen. This is the best one. Now, as you all know, this is as small as it gets to a YouTube channel, so I'm not being paid by Warner Brothers. I'm not being paid by any corporate company to say that. And I know that it's not a part of the majority opinion, right? The majority of people don't have that opinion that this is the greatest comic book movie or the best video game adapted movie that they've seen. But to me, it is. We got the action, we got the blood and guts, we got we got a little bit of dialogue, and we're going to get into dialogue here in a second. But Cole Young's character did what he needed to do. Now, it did kind of take me out of it when they're like, oh, his daughter seemed like she was like in like maybe her preteens or teenager or whatever. And this guy, he looks fairly young. I thought it was like his sister, and it ended up being his daughter and the wife. Look, I'm not a huge proponent of romance when it comes to, one, action movies, and two, superhero movies or comic book movies. I'm not a big fan of romances. I'm really not. There's only a handful of, superhero romances and protagonist romances when it comes to action movies that I actually am into and enjoy, and I think is necessary for the story. Probably the best example would being Bruce Wayne and Rachel Dawes in the Dark Knight trilogy, even though they swapped out her character in the second one. But yeah, I enjoy Cole Young. Again, not many answers. Not many questions answered, but they got the job done in the end for Cole. Now let's get on to the next character. The one character who I thought I would never be talking about, not even in terms of video games, but Kano. Now, the thing about Kano, I like this character. To me, there's none. I would go as far as saying I love this character. It's not my favorite character of the movie, which it kind of seemed like they were kind of gearing towards making people want him to be the favorite. And trust me, he's close. But you have to remember at the end of the day, this is fucking Kano. This is Kano. But after reminding yourself that this is Kano, you also have to remind yourself this is only the first Mortal Kombat movie. If this movie is successful, and it seems like it is, in terms of box office and everything else, there's going to be another one. We're going to get someone more important in this role of dialogue. Because without Kano in this movie, there was next to no dialogue in this movie. Maybe Sonya a little bit. Is probably, she's not even a close second, but she's probably second when it comes to having as many lines in this movie. Sonya, Shang Tsung, but that's about it. Maybe Raiden. Even Liu Kang didn't speak that much. Kung Lao didn't really speak that much. But Kano stole the show. And to me, for a first-time movie writer and a first-time director, I felt like they did pretty good with Kano. However, I don't think they should have gone that route with Kano. I feel like if anyone should have gotten all of this dialogue, it should have been either one, Liu Kang, or two, Cole Young. And obviously, I would swap that and say probably your first choice should be Cole Young. But Cole Young is your typical reserved, whatever. But I felt like he and Liu Kang were kind of like both the same character a little bit. They both had the same characteristics in terms of like reserved, just waiting their time to, like it's just weird. It's weird. But again, you have to not put yourself into all of this character development. But they're sending mixed signals because they're giving Kano all of this character development. Very, very weird. And by the way, because I'm not going to be reviewing Cabal or any of those other people, but Cabal looked fucking badass in this movie. I like the look of Cabal. Cabal was fucking awesome. Anyways, I like the switch they did with Kano. I like the fact that Kano was this, this rude ass, former, like, what was he? A former mercenary, right? So like this dude was a rude ass fucking badass, right? Loud ass mouth, really cool dude. Honestly, for a character being put in this setting of Mortal Kombat, of people fighting to the death and fatalities and all this shit, I like this character a lot. And again, he's probably a close second when it comes to my favorite character. And the first being Sub-Zero, obviously. But yes, absolutely. And of course, now I have been seeing comments like this person over here. And this is a really good rebuttal as well by Devin. But this person, Dakota Vision, says, hated this character. Funny, but at times was racist, misogynistic, and it's distasteful. In my theater, I remember men would laugh at the slightest joke from Kano, but crickets when Sonya cracked a joke, which honestly made me realize that what Kano stood for to me. See, and I like the rebuttal. Devin says sensitive people shouldn't be seeing movies like this in the first place. Look, that sums up what I was going to say about that comment anyways. I'm glad I scrolled down and I didn't have to address that myself. But yes, if you, obviously to the people, if you are sensitive as shit, you should know not to watch movies like this. Just don't. And that the second half of her comment made zero sense anyways. Now let's go on to Sonya Blade. Now, this is the character that had more dialogue than anyone else besides Kano. I liked this character. I'm not a big fan of Sonya Blade, but the first Mortal Kombat movie and then this reboot that they're doing, I love Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade is awesome. She's cool. She's badass. She's a little more serious in this movie than she was in the original one. That's all good. But they still have her and Jax are still partners, and I love that. They changed up Jax's character a little bit, but we'll get to Jax here in a second. But Sonya Blade is fucking badass. I can't say that enough. Now, what they did later on in this movie, where they gave her the little ring thing or the little power stuff. Look, I'm not that well versed when it comes to Mortal Kombat. I haven't played a video game in years. I have not played a video game. I played the video games, as an adult, but I have not been invested in Mortal Kombat since I was maybe 9 or 10. I have not been really that well versed into Mortal Kombat since then. So I can't remember whether Sonya Blade, from what I remember, I thought she was kind of like Stryker, right? Where they just only have weapons, they only have guns and shit. But again, I don't really know, whatever. Not really prevalent anyways, because this is a movie, this is a reboot, this is a film, so this is not anything in terms of video games. But the way she got her powers, I thought was a little rushed. I thought that, but again, she killed Kano, so she automatically, gets some form of that power. She got the marking too. Look, the way they did this movie, in terms of explaining how they get their powers, how they get the markings. Again, it's very vague the way they explained it, and again, it was kind of self-explanatory, anyways. And I think that's what really saves this movie is these self-explanatory points in the movie. Is that it's not going to give you a whole bunch of explanation. Sonya Blade explained in like literally 30 seconds what the tournament of Mortal Kombat was all about. And then went right into the story. And I love that. Because they wasted no time in this movie. Sonya Blade was a very, very vital part of this movie. Very vital part of this movie. And no one ever would have expected it. And I enjoyed it. Now, she's not my favorite character or anything like that. Not even a close second. But she was really good. She served her purpose. And then she got her powers. And then you got to see her dialogue between her and Jax a little bit. And we'll get over to Jax here in a second. But first, we're going to go to Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Now, here's where my complaint is going to happen. Right here. And this was my complaint when I first saw Liu Kang in this movie, because again, I didn't pay too much attention to the trailers. Once I saw the trailers, I didn't watch it more than once or anything like that. The trailers did what they needed to do for me, which was, okay, cool. I got to see what I wanted to see. I'm excited for this movie. Awesome, whatever. But then I sit down and watch this movie, and it's Liu Kang. Liu Kang shows up, and I'm thinking, why is Liu Kang so small? Now, don't get me wrong. Liu Lin is ripped. He's ripped to the core. Don't get me wrong. He's fit as fuck. But I mean, come on. You guys couldn't have picked a better actor, someone with bigger, come on. You couldn't have beefed up Liu Lin a little bit? Beefed up and ripped? I'm like, what the fuck kind of Liu Kang is this? What the fuck kind of Liu Kang is this? Anyways. It did take me out of the movie just for a second. Like, I'm sitting there like, we got to deal with a small-ass Liu Kang? Really? But we did get Kung Lao in this movie, and I loved it. Now, apparently these both are cousins. I didn't know that. That's cool. Maybe they just did that for the movie, or maybe that's in the video games as well. But Kung Lao, fucking awesome. Again, the dialogue between him and Kano, who everybody that Kano comes in contact with, fucking amazing. And if you guys go back and watch that movie, and remember that line or remember that scene where Cabal is telling Shang Tsung about Kano. I love that as well. I forget what he said. I haven't seen the movie in a couple of days, but I forget what he said. But he said something like among the lines of like he's like, look, yeah, you'll love him. He talks a lot. He's an ass. That guy's a class A asshole or something like that. He was like, you'll love him. And I love that part. But anyways, back to Liu Kang. I have so many complaints about Liu Kang, man. Now, the actual character, his characteristics were awesome. We got to see the fire dragon too. I thought that was maybe a little bit too early to see the fire dragon, but then again, we're talking about a movie that presumably could possibly not get a sequel. So this could possibly be a one and done movie. Again, I don't think it is. But I'm glad we at least got to see the fire dragon, because it was a really cool scene. It was really cool production that they did for that. I loved it. I was 120 million% here for all of it. Kung Lao, with the spinny hat little thingy, and then where that little vampire thingy came down and he jumped over and get a fatality with the spinny hat. Oh my God. Dude, I'm telling you guys, if you guys love action movies, you don't have to be a comic fan. You don't even have to be a video game fan. Just be a fan of kung fu and action. Oh my fucking Jesus Christ. You have to see this movie. You have to see this movie. Because the fatalities are fucking awesome. Even Kano's. But yes, these two characters, awesome. Kung Lao got killed by Shang Tsung. I thought Shang Tsung was a B character in this movie, even though they tried to make him seem like he was this huge boss. But he's just a mastermind. The whole "I'm gonna take your soul" thing, that was, to me, that was very uneventful. It was very unclimatic. Like, I was just like, okay, he's choking him out and he's literally just sucking up his soul. Pause. It didn't do anything for me. It did nothing for me. I thought it was a waste to kill Kung Lao, but they did need to kill one of the good guys to kind of prove a point that, hey, we are for real. This is the real deal. Liu Kang didn't seem too broken up about Kung Lao, but he did again avenge Kung Lao, so that was really cool. And then they had the whole plan up in the end to fight Sub-Zero, and then somehow, Liu Kang was nowhere to be found. But anyways, I like these two characters. Again, aside from Liu Kang being small as fuck, I don't really know what else I can really say about Liu Kang besides I like the Fire Dragon, so I like his fatality. The character where he was reserved, he was cool. But Kung Lao, I felt like we should have gotten more Kung Lao than we did than we should have Liu Kang. I felt like it would have been no love lost if they would have killed Liu Kang in this movie. I know it would have been controversial, but it would have been no love lost from me if they would have killed Liu Kang. That's all I can say about that. Now let's move on to Jax. Ooh, this is not Jax, but this was funny. If you all ever seen Hot Tub Time Machine, you'll get the joke. I believe that's Crispin Glover. I believe Crispin Glover, I think. But this is Jax. Now, Jax is one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat because as a kid, I'm not going to lie, as a kid, I was like, okay, cool, a black character. All right, awesome. Now, there's been many iterations of Jax throughout the decades in the video games. Now, again, the Jax in Mortal Kombat 2 was not great. To me, he wasn't even that good. Although that movie was just shit anyways. But he was the only live iteration of Jax. But then, we got Mortal Kombat Legacy on YouTube, and then it was Michael J. White. And of course, he fucking killed it like he does every role he's in. Fucking amazing. So again, I don't want to hate on Makad Brooks because he did his best, but man, they made this Jax suck. They made this Jax suck. I mean, from a guy that picking up a rock and saving Sonya, and it's just, especially after seeing Justice League just a month ago, like I'm like, cyborg vibes, man, fucking cyborg vibes. What they could have waited to put Jax in this movie. I mean, come on now. Both movies are under Warner Brothers. Somebody could have relayed a message and said, hey, let's wait on. We can still get the black character for diversity, for all the agenda purposes, but. Let's make a black person a different. Let's make Makad Brooks a different character. All right. If we have to put a black character in the movie, let's put him in as someone else. I'm at that point I'm fucking fine with it because it's a movie. It's a reboot, whatever. Films do not have to be in line or be canon to the fucking video games or books, whatever. But Jax did not need to be in this movie because Jax served zero purpose in this movie. He even needed help from Sonya Blade, I believe, to kill old dude that he was fighting. So look, I'm torn on Jax. I really am. Because while I like the actor Makad Brooks, I enjoy the character dialogue of Jax, but we didn't need to see Jax. We didn't need Jax. Just like we didn't need Liu Kang. But and we also didn't need Kano with all that dialogue in the beginning as well. But again, we're talking about a Mortal Kombat movie. We have to remember that. But now we're gonna go to me, who is the second most important character in this movie, and that's Scorpion. And I was wondering throughout this entire movie, and this is what I hate about trailers, because it shows you parts of a movie, and when you're watching a movie, you're like, wait a minute, but didn't he just wasn't Scorpion fighting Sub-Zero in a frozen abandoned house or in a frozen building in the trailers? Excuse me, sorry. This movie, throughout this entire movie, I'm thinking to myself, where is that? Where is that building? Like, where is that scene where, like, did I miss something? Did I miss something? Now, Scorpion, to me, in this movie, was amazing. Same thing as Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero, obviously, is going to be the last person I talk about because he's my favorite. In this movie, he is, at least. But the way they did these two was awesome, because it showed you at the beginning, from the beginning of the movie, it showed you this is an ancient history that they are approaching. They are confronting an ancient hate towards one another. And that hate is still so strong that Sub-Zero killed old dude's family. Killed his family. Now, I will say this about Scorpion. My only complaint is that we didn't get the Scorpion coming out of the hand, and that the get over here wasn't as climatic as I thought it should be. You know, because I'm sitting there and I'm watching the fight scene, and that fight scene between Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the end of this movie was mwah. However, I wanted a more climatical get over here, because he was like, get over here, whatever. But I like their look. They went with a very different look, especially for Scorpion. Scorpion more so than Sub-Zero, because Sub-Zero still had when I forget the actor's name. I think Joe Taslim or Taslim, however you say his name. He's the actor. He's Sub-Zero. But when he's Bihan and he has a mask off, he does not look like he looks evil, yes, but he does not look like Sub-Zero. But it's just it tells you just a little details in the story of how different these people are when they take their mask off. I could get an entire movie of just an origin story of Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I really could. And then have some Mortal Kombat characters in it, rather than a full-fledged Mortal Kombat movie and you got Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting in the beginning. Scorpion dies and then comes back in the end, and Scorpion comes back from hell. And so, again, plot holes, right? Don't think when you are sitting down watching the movie. But I love Scorpion. I love to get over here. I love the fact that he looked over to Cole and he said, yes, you are my descendant. And yes, I trust you with handling our bloodline with care. I trust you with the future of my last name. I fucking love that. That was a really cool moment. Now, it wasn't an emotional moment or anything like that, but it was a really, really cool moment. I loved Scorpion in this movie, although we didn't get your typical Scorpion coming out of the hand. We didn't get your typical get over here, but we did get some really cool shit from Scorpion, and I loved it. I was definitely here for that. Now, let's get to my personal favorite character of this movie, Sub-Zero. Bihan, right? Or Bihan? Yeah, I think it's Bihan or something like that, right? Is like his real name in the movie. But Scorpion really did look intimidating in this movie. He looked fucking intimidating. This scene right here, did I say Scorpion? I'm sorry, Sub-Zero. But this scene right here, where Scorpion, he throws a chain, and it gets stuck inside of one of like the little icicles, right? And he misses Sub-Zero's head, and Sub-Zero does not move a fucking inch. He stands there, and he stands there and he looks at him. He stares at him just like this, and then he looks at the chain, and he looks back at Scorpion. And dude, oh my God, dude, I'm telling you guys, if you guys didn't jump out of your seats when you watched that part, holy fucking shit. This was awesome. Sub-Zero made this movie. Kano had the dialogue. Sonya had the explanations. Jack served no purpose. Liu Kang served no purpose. Kung Lao was killed too early. Raiden was a piece of shit and a pussy in the movie. The villains sucked, except for Cabal, maybe, and Goro. Goro was, I just want to stop and say this. Goro looked fucking amazing. And you know what they did? You know what they did that I'm actually glad that they didn't do? I mean, you know what they did, but I'm actually glad that they did do, is they didn't make Goro talk. They didn't try and make Goro this talkative character like they did in the first Mortal Kombat. Goro was Goro. And I think what Shang Tsung called him was Prince Goro, or like Prince something, right? So Goro he was the prince of his own community or kingdom or whatever. Like, these are high profile fucking assassins, high profile fucking fighters, killers in the universe. I fucking loved the fact that Goro was in this movie for a cup of coffee. But damn, that was the nicest cup of coffee that we've had watching this movie. That was a really, really, really amazing cup of coffee. And I don't even drink coffee like that. So I did want to put that in a side note too. Goro did his fucking thing in this movie. He served his purpose in this movie. And let's not forget Reptile as well. Reptile, the fact that they had an actual reptile in this movie as Reptile, oh my God. They did so much in this movie right. That it was kind of hard for me to sit here and try and break this movie apart and say, oh, it didn't have this and didn't have that. Remember, we're talking about Mortal fucking Kombat. We're talking about Mortal fucking Kombat. Sub-Zero, to me, was the pinnacle of this movie. He was the heart of this movie. Even though he was the villain, he was the sole antagonist of this movie. Because all the other people, yeah, they're antagonist, but he was the antagonist of this movie. He was the guy that all five of them said, we're gonna take care of these scrubs, and then we're gonna go find Sub-Zero and gang up on him. Because it's gonna take more than one person. Now, again, I wasn't too much here for the fight scene between Cole and Scorpion teaming up on Sub-Zero. After Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War, I'm kind of over the whole 2-on-1, two good guys fighting a bad guy. Like I'm kind of done with those sequences at this point. Like at least let's take a few years. Let's take a break for a couple years, at least a couple years. I'm just tired of seeing the whole like, all right, your turn to hit him. Now my turn to hit him. Let's yeah, it looked cool the first couple times it did it, but then it got a little overdone, and now we're seeing that shit everywhere. You know, like I love having a powerful one-on-one villain. It's the same thing that happens in pro wrestling. I want to see one-on-one. I don't want to see these triple threat matches. I don't want to see these 6-on-6s every fucking week. I want to see a good guy and a bad guy face each other. Hell, they don't even have to be a good guy, but I just want to see one guy and another guy face each other and fight until there is a fucking winner. How hard is that? Mortal Kombat did that, except for in the end. They did that except for in the end. And what does that say about your character, Cole Young? What does that say about your character, Scorpion, who I would assume everyone holds up to puts on a pedestal along with Sub-Zero, along with these other characters? Look, this movie was a really, really good movie. And I don't care what anybody has to say about the plot holes or about how this character didn't do this and this character didn't do that. Look, as much as I hated the way they did Liu Kang in this movie, I still love the movie. I still loved it. Now, it wasn't one of my greatest movies of all time. It wasn't one of the best movies of the year or anything like that. But let me tell you something. I repeat what I said when I at the beginning of this stream, is that this movie is probably the best it's the best video game adapted movie thus far. And if I'm this first-time director, I don't even know the guy's name, but if I'm this first-time director and this first-time writer, and I'm Warner Brothers, I would keep them for the next Mortal Kombat. Now, I'm not saying they should dip into something else, especially in terms of comic movies, because you're going to need more plot, you're going to need more story, you're going to need more character development. But I think if you play around with Mortal Kombat 2, you play around with a Mortal Kombat 3, maybe a 4, I'm thinking they could build a pretty good resume for themselves and build a foundation for Mortal Kombat on the big screen. But now we're gonna get to my grade. My grade for this movie is gonna be a solid B. My grade for Mortal Kombat is gonna be a solid B, and reason being is because the action was great. I was here for the action. That's the only reason why I wanted to see this movie, was I wanted to see action. I want to see fatalities. I want to see heads getting cut off. I want to see, hat blades being thrown onto the ground, and a guy jumps on top of the back of a flying vampire and shreds her to pieces, or shreds her in half. I was here for that. I wanted to see Scorpion beat the shit out of, not Scorpion. I keep saying Scorpion. I wanted to see Sub-Zero beat the shit out of Scorpion. And you see the blood come out. He grabs the blood, freezes it, and turns it into a knife and stabs Scorpion with his own frozen blood. Fam, tell me who else does that shit. Tell me who else does that in film. Ain't nobody doing that in film. But they are. Mortal Kombat, to me, this movie to me, opened up the gates for more movies like that to be made and to be universally accepted. And it's funny how people are complaining about how Kano he was misogynistic and racist, blah, 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 whatever. But yet, you don't hear anybody complaining about the gore. You're not hearing, because we're desensitized when it comes to gore and shit like that. But we're not desensitized. We're not desensitized when it comes to words. That's a fucking problem, and that's an issue that I'm not willing to address on this podcast. But I've addressed it a million times before. So again, if you weren't ready to watch a movie like Mortal Kombat, then don't fucking watch it. No one's forcing your hand. Just because a lot of us are talking about the movie doesn't mean you have to watch it. But the reason why I'm giving this movie a B is because the story was not consistent. The story, quite frankly, was shit. But again, we're not here for the story. I get that, but I still have to be, I cannot be biased. I have to be completely unbiased when I give these ratings. The story was shit. And that is the only reason why I'm giving this movie a B. Everything else to me was great. I had fun the entire time while watching this movie. I really did. I found myself being taken out of a movie only a couple of times, just because after watching 30 minutes of Kano, I'm like, okay, why is Kano still on my fucking screen? And why is he the only person with any decent dialogue? And then the second time that I was taken out of the movie was when the introduction of Liu Kang. And I'm like, why the fuck is Liu Kang 5'4", weighing 97 pounds, soaking wet? Why? But besides that, this movie was fucking great. I loved it. I recommend this movie 120 million% to anyone who asks me about it. I say, hey, did you ever play the games? If they say yes, I say, you'll love it. Go watch the movie. If they say no, I say, hey, let me tell you what this movie's about. And then I'll just say, hey, I'm going to shoot you a link to my movie review of Mortal Kombat instead here on the Half-Ass Podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say thank you for joining me here today to review and to watch my review here on Half-Ass Pod of Mortal Kombat here in 2021. Again, my grade is to be, if they make a sequel to this movie, I am here for it. I am 100% here for a Mortal Kombat sequel. Now, I do want to say, ladies and gentlemen, before I get out of here, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe. Make sure you guys head over to Patreon. I still only have one video up right now on my Patreon, but I am planning to, by the end of the week, have my old controversial videos from here on YouTube, and I'm going to put them on Patreon. Yeah, it's gotten all exposure. It's gotten the few thousand views that those videos have gotten. I'm going to go ahead and take those and put them on Patreon so that I don't get canceled. So if you guys want to try and cancel me, at least you guys fucking paid to get the content to cancel me later on in life. So, and I say that jokingly, but you guys what I mean. But without further ado, I want to say thank you guys for watching here. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe. I am me. This is Half-Ass Pod, and I am OU.